October 5, 1944. 26,000 feet over Osnabrück, Germany. The world outside the plexiglass nose of the B-17G Flying Fortress, Stingy, is a beautiful, lethal panorama of blue and silver. For Second Lieutenant David Williams, the 22-year-old navigator, this is his 14th mission. He has learned to live with the bone-deep cold that seeps through his heated suit, the constant deafening drone of the 4 Wright Cyclone engines, and the metallic taste of fear that coats his tongue. Below, the German landscape is a patchwork quilt of green and brown. Above and around him the vast combat box shimmers, a sprawling city of nearly 400 heavy bombers, their aluminum skins glinting in the autumn sun. Weaving between them, their silver wings flashing, are the Little Friends, the P-51 Mustangs of the 357th Fighter Group, the guardians who keep the Luftwaffe wolves at bay. The mission has been routine, if such a thing exists. Puffs of black flak like greasy fingerprints have smudged the sky, but so far, no fighters. Williams focuses on his charts, the rhythmic vibration of the airframe a familiar, almost comforting sensation. Then a new sound cuts through the drone. It's not the angry buzz of a Focke-Wulf or the growl of a Messerschmitt. It is a high-pitched, tearing shriek, a noise so alien it sounds like the fabric of the sky is being ripped apart. The waist gunner's voice crackles over the intercom, laced with confusion. "Bogey, 9 o'clock high, moving like hell. I don't see any props." Williams looks up from his navigation table, scanning the sky. The escorting Mustangs are there, but they seem to be chasing ghosts. Then he sees it. A dark, shark-like shape, impossibly sleek, arrows down from the sun. It has no propellers. Instead, 2 pods slung under its swept wings trail faint streams of smoke. It moves with a speed that defies belief, faster than anything he has ever seen. It isn't flying. It is simply arriving. The strange aircraft doesn't engage in a dogfight. It doesn't maneuver or turn with the Mustangs. It simply plummets through the bomber formation in a single, devastating pass. Williams watches, mesmerized, as 4 lines of what look like glowing orange golf balls streak from its nose and converge on a B-17 200 yards to his left. The bomber, big operator, seems to disintegrate. Its wing shears off in a flash of fire, and the fuselage twists, breaking apart as it begins its final, sickening spin toward the earth. 9 men gone in an instant, and then the attacker is gone. Before the Mustang pilots can even bring their guns to bear, the German jet, whatever it is, has fired its engines and climbed away, accelerating at a rate that leaves the fastest Allied fighters seeming to stand still. The encounter lasted less than 10 seconds. It left behind a stunned silence in the cockpit of Stingy, broken only by the steady drone of their own engines. The attack was too fast, too violent, too futuristic. On the long flight back to their base in England, crews would speak of it in hushed, disbelieving tones. The initial intelligence debriefings are filled with reports of rocket planes and experimental aircraft. Some commanders dismiss it as combat shock, the wild imaginings of terrified young men. But the pilots who were there, who saw the kill, who heard that unholy sound, know they have witnessed the birth of something terrifying. A new age of air combat has just dawned in a flash of 30mm cannon fire, and they are on the wrong side of it.
November 2nd, 1944. 28,000 feet in the skies above the Luna synthetic oil plant. Merseburg for Captain Don Mac McAllister of the 55th Fighter Group. This is his domain. From the cockpit of his P-51D Mustang, affectionately named Carolina Belle, he is the king of a vast frozen blue kingdom. Below him, the rumble of his Packard Merlin V12 engine is the sound of absolute authority. A finely tuned instrument of war that has helped the 8th Air Force sweep the Luftwaffe from the daylight skies. His job is to hunt, and the German piston engine fighters, the FW-190s and BF-109s, have become the prey. McAllister and his squadron weave lazy, protective S-curves above the bomber stream, confident, almost arrogant, in their machine's supremacy. The call comes from the bomber command frequency, a strained voice cutting through the static. "Little friends, this is Big Papa. We have bandits approaching from the west. High speed, no props. Repeat, no props. McAllister's head snaps around. The term is still new, still spoken with a mix of awe and dread in the briefing rooms. He spots them instantly. 4 sleek, twin-engined aircraft flying in a perfect finger 4 formation. They aren't maneuvering to engage his fighters. They are simply descending in a long, shallow dive, aimed directly at the heart of the bomber formation. They are the Sturmvogel, the Stormbirds. Blue leader to flight tally-ho. Let's get 'em! McAllister rolls the Carolina Bell onto her wing and puts the nose down, firewalling the throttle. The Merlin engine screams as the propeller bites into the thin air, the Mustang accelerating rapidly in the dive. He has the advantage of height and gravity, a textbook bounce tactic that has earned him 7 kills. He picks out the lead jet, its swept wings making it look like a predatory shark, and tries to line up his gun sight. But something is profoundly wrong. He is diving at over 450 miles per hour, the airframe shuddering at the edge of its limits, yet he isn't closing the distance. The German jet is pulling away from him in a dive. The realization hits him like a physical blow. It's impossible. He is flying the fastest piston engine fighter in the world, and it is completely, hopelessly outclassed. He feels a surge of impotent fury as he watches the 4 jets slice into the B-17s. There is no finesse, no dogfight. It is a clinical, brutal execution. The lead jet opens fire, and the B-17 it targeted simply comes apart. The Stormbird's 4 30mm cannons, firing heavy, mine-laden shells, don't just punch holes. They obliterate whatever they hit. The bomber's entire tail section is sawed off in a blizzard of shrapnel and flame. As the crippled fortress begins to tumble, the jet is already streaking past, lining up another victim. McAllister can only watch, a spectator to a slaughter he is powerless to stop. After their single, devastating pass, the jets do the unthinkable. They point their noses up and climb. McAllister attempts to follow, but his Mustang, its energy bled off, is left clawing at the sky, seeming to hang on its propeller. The jets, meanwhile, accelerate effortlessly, rocketing upward and disappearing into the sun, leaving behind nothing but burning bombers and the shattered confidence of the best pilots in the Allied Air Forces. Rejoining his flight, McAllister's hands are still trembling slightly. The rules, he realizes, have just been rewritten. The sky he once owned now belongs to the Stormbird. December 10, 1944. A snow-dusted dispersal at Akmer Airfield, Germany. For Oberleutnant Klaus Richter, a veteran with over 200 combat missions and a Focke-Wulf 190, the ritual is still unnervingly foreign. There is no cough and roar of a piston engine catching life. Only the high-pitched, rising whine of the Junkers Umo 004 turbines on his Messerschmitt Me 262. It is the sound of the future, a sound that makes the hardened ground crew flinch. As he eases the throttles forward, Richter must be delicate. Jam them too quickly and the primitive jet engines will overheat and burst into flames. The takeoff roll is terrifyingly long, the aircraft sluggish and heavy as it consumes thousands of feet of the bomb-pocked runway. But then, as the wheels finally leave the frozen earth, the magic happens. The violent, bone-jarring vibration of the piston engine is gone. In its place is a smooth, relentless surge of power that pushes him back into his seat. He is no longer being dragged through the air by a propeller. He is being propelled forward by a controlled explosion. The climb is effortless. At 20,000 feet, where his FW-190 would be straining, the Me 262 is just getting started. Ascending at a rate that leaves him breathless, he levels off at 30,000 feet and throttles back slightly, the cockpit suddenly falling into an eerie, otherworldly silence, broken only by the hiss of the wind over the canopy. He is the fastest man in the world. But when he looks down, the triumphant feeling evaporates. He doesn't see a triumphant Reich. He sees a dying country. He sees the blackened skeletons of cities, the spiderwebs of craters around marshalling yards and factories, and the tiny ant-like trails of horse-drawn carts on roads where fuel-starved trucks should be. His miracle weapon is an orphan of a collapsing industry. The jet's revolutionary engines have a lifespan of barely 25 hours, after which they must be ripped out and replaced. There is never enough high-grade kerosene, never enough spare parts, and never enough time. Legendary aces like Adolf Galland champion the aircraft, forming special units like Jagdverband 44, a squadron of experts. But for every seasoned ace like Galland, there are a dozen hastily trained pilots barely out of flight school, who are unequipped to handle this demanding, unforgiving machine. The Me 262 is a razor's edge. Its incredible speed makes deflection shooting a nightmare even for veterans. Its 430mm cannons are devastating, but with a slow rate of fire, a pilot might only get one chance at a bomber before flashing past the formation. Richter knows the truth. He is flying a thoroughbred in a war of attrition that demands plow horses. The Me-262 is the most advanced fighting machine in the sky, but it is also fragile, temperamental, and above all, vulnerable. Especially now, as his fuel runs low and he begins his long, gentle descent back to Akmer. This is the moment of greatest danger. The slow, wide, predictable landing pattern where his phenomenal speed is useless. He is no longer a hunter, he is bait, and the sky is full of sharks. February 25, 1945. 15,000 feet above Parchim Airfield, Germany. The shock has worn off. The awe has been replaced by a cold, predatory calculus. In the briefing rooms of the 8th Air Force, the myth of the Me-262's invincibility has been dissected and exposed. Allied intelligence has pinpointed the handful of airfields the jets operate from. A new brutal doctrine has been forged, born of frustration and necessity. The directive is simple. You don't chase the wolf in the open field. You wait for it at the door to its den. Lieutenant Jack Reynolds, flying his P-51 Mustang Jersey Devil, is no longer a guardian angel for the bombers. He is an assassin. He and his squadron are part of a dedicated jet patrol, loitering patiently in the haze miles from the German airfield, staying out of the range of the lethal flak batteries. Their mission is not to engage in high-altitude dogfights. It is to wait, to watch, and to kill the jets when they are at their most vulnerable, during their long, slow takeoffs and their wide, predictable landing patterns. The hunters have learned to hunt the new predator. A glint of movement from the airfield below catches Reynolds' eye. Through his binoculars he sees it, a sleek, shark-like fuselage taxiing onto the main runway. "Bingo," he whispers into his oxygen mask. "Viper leader to flight. We have a customer spooling up. Let's go to work." Reynolds and his 3 wingmen roll over and dive. They are no longer trying to match the jet's speed in level flight. They are using the Mustang's strengths, its excellent performance at medium altitude and its phenomenal diving speed, to intercept the jet in its moment of weakness. Down below, the Me-262 begins its takeoff run, a plume of dark exhaust trailing from its primitive turbines. For these first 30 seconds, it is the most advanced aircraft in the world. Yet it is also the most helpless. It is committed to the runway, struggling to gain speed, unable to maneuver, unable to escape. The 4 Mustangs fall on it like wolves on a newborn lamb. Reynolds lines up his sights on the climbing jet, which is barely 500 feet off the ground. He sees the German pilot frantically trying to accelerate, to reach the sanctuary of high altitude where his speed would save him. But it is too late. Reynolds presses the trigger. A torrent of fire from his .650 caliber machine guns rips into the Me-262's starboard wing and engine nacelle. The jet's thin metal skin offers little resistance. Bright flashes of light sparkle across the engine pod as the armor-piercing incendiary rounds find their mark. A stream of black smoke instantly turns into a trail of brilliant orange flame. The jet falters, its wing dropping as the engine dies. It rolls lazily onto its back and plunges into the forest just beyond the airfield, disappearing in a violent percussive blast. The Me-262 was a revolution. It was a weapon that arrived years ahead of its time, a testament to engineering genius in a regime consumed by madness. But it was a revolution that came too late, in too few numbers, and into a sky that was no longer Germany's to command. It was a glimpse of the future, decisively defeated by the industrial might, the endless supply of fuel and pilots, and the grim, adaptive tactics of the present. As Reynolds pulls his Mustang up and away from the rising pillar of smoke, he resumes his patient orbit, waiting for the next jet to take its turn.